Nicki don't need to worry
A
about
lot of
Don.
this.
She need to be with damn Don Lemon, and Nicki Minaj needs to be worried about Chris Hansen. That's what she needs to be worried about.
Yesterday, US Weekly broke the news that Nicki Minaj's house is at risk of being seized due to a lawsuit.
Under Trump's rules, she should be deported because I don't think, reportedly, that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented.
4 days ago, Nicki Minaj came within hours of losing her $20 million mansion to a court-ordered auction. A judge had the paperwork ready to go, and at the absolute last second, she wired the money. This wasn't some minor dispute over a parking ticket or a licensing fee. Years of ignoring a lawsuit, dodging payments, and watching her husband's actions pile up had nearly cost her everything she built. And that house situation, as wild as it sounds, barely scratches the surface of what's actually happening with Nicki right now. I am actually shocked of what's happening. The story begins in Frankfurt, Germany during a 2019 tour stop when everything went sideways backstage. A fan briefly made it onto the stage during her performance, and security handled the situation in about 15 seconds flat. Nicki wasn't satisfied with that response. According to court documents, she blamed a female security guard for the breach and started recording the woman while berating her in front of the entire crew. A male guard named Thomas Weidenmuller stepped in to calm things down, and he told Nicki it wasn't fair to potentially destroy this woman's career by posting that video online. Her response, according to Weidenmuller, was to throw a shoe at him. She missed, but what happened next would set off a chain of events lasting years. I was not ready for that. Kenneth Petty, Nicki's husband, allegedly confronted Weidenmuller backstage after that exchange. Without any warning, Petty reportedly struck him from behind with enough force to shatter bone. Weidenmuller described feeling blinding pain shoot through his head, neck, face, and jaw all at once. Paramedics rushed him to a hospital, where he spent 10 days recovering from the initial trauma. Multiple surgeries followed over the next several years, and his jaw now contains 5 metal plates holding it together. When Weidenmuller filed his lawsuit against both Nicki and Kenneth in 2022, the couple did something unexpected. They ignored it completely. Not a single response. Not one court appearance. That silence allowed the judge to enter a default judgment exceeding $500,000, and still, no payment came. Late 2025 brought the situation to a breaking point. Weidenmuller's attorneys had exhausted every collection method available to them, sending levy notices to Apple, Universal Music Group, Capitol Records, and Live Nation trying to recover the debt. Nothing worked. Their next move was a motion asking the court to force the sale of Nicki's Hidden Hills mansion to satisfy what she owed. Judge Cindy Panuco agreed with their reasoning and announced her tentative ruling would require the property to be sold. January 22, 2026 was set as the final hearing date. According to Weidenmuller's attorney, collecting this debt required going to the 1-yard line before Nicki finally acted. The deal came together the night before that hearing, which means one signature stood between her and losing the house entirely. Nicki's explanation for the years of silence puts the blame elsewhere. She posted on social media claiming her former business manager received the lawsuit paperwork and never passed it along. Her words were that she has evidence this happened and that the same manager stole from her multiple times. None of that changed the court's position, and she remained responsible for the full amount regardless of who knew what internally. What makes this situation baffling to critics is the math involved. Nicki Minaj carries an estimated net worth somewhere between $150 and $190 million. A $500,000 debt threatening a $20 million property makes no financial sense, and that gap between her resources and her response is exactly what people keep questioning. The lawsuit drama represents just one thread in a much larger tapestry surrounding Kenneth Petty's history. Back in 1995, when he was 16 years old, a New York court convicted him of a serious crime against a minor. The victim was also 16 at the time, and court documents indicate the incident involved a weapon. Prison held him for nearly 4 years, and a lifetime requirement to register as an offender followed his release. I find that really disgusting. I'm sure you are too. When he relocated to California in 2019 after marrying Nicki, registering with local authorities slipped through the cracks. A routine traffic stop exposed that failure when officers discovered he wasn't in the California system. His 2022 sentencing brought 1 year of home confinement, 3 years of probation, and a $55,000 fine. And the legal exposure doesn't end there. Jennifer Hough, the original victim from 1995, has filed a civil lawsuit against both Kenneth and Nicki alleging harassment and intimidation spanning years. That case remains active in Brooklyn federal court. Nicki's brother adds another chapter to this pattern. Nicki Minaj faced a jury in 2017 on charges involving horrific crimes against a minor, specifically his 11-year-old stepdaughter. DNA evidence linked him directly to the crimes, and the victim's younger brother took the witness stand to describe what he had seen. The conviction came swiftly, and 2020 brought a sentence of 25 years to life behind bars. Before that sentencing hearing, Nicki submitted a letter to the judge requesting mercy for her brother. Her description of Jelani called him the most patient, gentle, genuine, giving, selfless man she knows. That letter resurfaces constantly now as critics draw connections between Nicki's public defenses and the convicted men in her orbit. The past few months have delivered something nobody predicted. I was not expecting it either. Nicki Minaj has undergone what observers call a complete political realignment, starting in November 2025 when President Donald Trump posted about Christian persecution in Nigeria. Her response expressed deep gratitude and stated that no group should face persecution for practicing their faith. Days passed, and an invitation arrived asking her to speak at the United Nations alongside U.S. Ambassador Mike Waltz. His introduction called her arguably the greatest female recording artist and a principled individual who refuses to remain silent when facing injustice. Standing at that podium, she thanked Trump for his leadership and demanded urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria. The optics stunned people across the political spectrum. December 21, 2025, brought an even more dramatic scene at AmericaFest, the annual Turning Point USA conference held in Phoenix. Nicki walked onto that stage, holding hands with Erica Kirk, widow of the organization's late founder, who had been killed just 3 months earlier. The interview that followed featured Nicki praising Trump in terms usually reserved for close friends. Her exact words described having the utmost respect and admiration for our president, calling him handsome and dashing, and crediting him with giving people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys.
I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact.
Vice President J.D. Vance received praise too, and that's when the moment went viral for the wrong reason entirely. Nicki used the word assassin to describe Vance while sitting feet away from a widow whose husband was taken by one. The crowd fell silent. Nicki covered her face in visible embarrassment. Erica Kirk attempted to rescue the moment by saying she's heard everything and loves Nicki regardless. But the damage was done. I really thought that was it. Comedian D.L. Hugley wasted no time highlighting the contradiction buried in that appearance. His video featured old clips of the organization's founder himself criticizing Nicki Minaj on camera, footage where he said directly that he didn't consider Nicki a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. Hugley's point landed hard. Nicki Minaj represents virtually everything the man who founded that movement stood against, yet she found herself delivering remarks at the very event built on his vision. His assessment called the alliance transactional and accused the MAGA movement of abandoning their stated principles the moment celebrity influence became available. Hugley kept the pressure on when Nicki started attacking California Governor Gavin Newsom over his public support for transgender children. His response on social media packed a punch. "Nicki shouldn't post anything about kids," he wrote, "because her husband can't legally be within 1,000 feet of one." His next line suggested it wasn't Gavin she needed to worry about, but Chris Hansen, referencing the former host's reputation for exposing certain types of criminals. A follow-up video expanded on his thinking, and his words cut deep. The fact that transgender people draw more anger than individuals with actual convictions astounded him. Kenneth Petty's status on the registry and Jelani Minaj's prison sentence received specific mention as examples of misplaced priorities. January 2026 brought the Don Lemon situation into the mix. Lemon was reporting on an anti-ICE protest at a Minnesota church where demonstrators had targeted the service because one of the pastors reportedly worked as an ICE director. Nicki caught wind of the coverage and unleashed on social media. Her post called Lemon disgusting, while demanding authorities lock him up immediately. Offensive language appeared in the text alongside an image comparing him to Chucky from Child's Play. Lemon's response came directly and without hesitation. He labeled Nicki a bigot, speaking about matters way beyond her understanding, and then he dropped information that shifted the entire conversation.
This is what I'll say to Nicki Minaj. I think Nicki Minaj has made it very clear how she feels about African Americans in this country. Or I don't think she's one of them, obviously. And she should, under Trump's rules, she should be deported because I don't think, reportedly, that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented. And so she has shown her disdain for African Americans. So why are you supporting her? Why are you buying her records? She's also supporting, I have lots of gay friends who love Nicki Minaj. Why are you supporting this homophobic, bigoted, ignorant?
Nicki herself once admitted coming to the United States as an undocumented immigrant, he pointed out, which meant, under Trump's own enforcement rules, she could face consequences. That comment sent people digging through old posts, and a 2018 statement from Nicki surfaced almost immediately. Her own words described coming to this country without papers at 5 years old and painted the horror of imagining that experience, being stripped from parents in a strange place without understanding why. Her criticism targeted the family separation policies active at that time, and she asked readers to picture the terror those children must be feeling. Fast forward to the present, and Nicki now publicly aligns with the administration, pushing aggressive immigration enforcement against people in situations resembling her childhood. The accusation of hypocrisy spread rapidly. A petition calling for her removal from the country has gathered more than 62,000 signatures at this point. Podcast host Joe Budden, a longtime supporter, announced on his December 24th episode that he was finished. His words called that appearance the last candle on the cake for him and told his audience not to reach out on her behalf. The real question underneath all of this remains unanswered. Some observers believe Nicki's embrace of conservative politics reflects genuine conviction that her views shifted over time and she found a community welcoming her perspective. Others remain skeptical about the timing and motivation. Don Lemon floated a theory on air suggesting her newfound alignment might serve as a shield, possibly positioning herself for protection given her immigration history or seeking favorable treatment for her husband and brother given their legal exposure. No evidence exists to confirm that speculation, and it remains just that. What the record does show is a dramatic shift in public positioning. Nicki Minaj went from criticizing Trump's immigration policies to thanking him at the United Nations. Conservative figures who once dismissed her now share stages with her at their largest gatherings. Her feuds with journalists, governors, and comedians play out in real time, while her husband's legal history generates fresh headlines. Through all of it, she doubles down rather than stepping back. Whether this represents strategy, survival instinct, or something else entirely depends on who you ask. The only certainty is that the Nicki Minaj of 2026 bears little resemblance to the artist her fans thought they knew for the past 15 years. What's driving all of this remains an open question, and let me know your take in the comments section.